In this note, I will detail how to set up a firewall on a virtual machine. Before going to the details, allow me to tell you why a firewall running on a virtual machine might be important. Internet access on your computer is very likely to be through an internet router provided by your ISP. That router, however, has very limited firewall functionalities, if any at all. With a firewall running on a virtual machine, you can have your computer and your virtual machines behind that firewall. Also, you might want internet access through a VPN. The firewall, which I'm about to show you, provides that functionality out of the box. Before setting up the firewall, there are a few things we need to prepare. First, you will need VirtualBox from Oracle. I will assume you have VirtualBox installed with the respective extension pack. You will need it for the USB pass-through. We are going to use the pfSense firewall provided by Netgate. Yes, you will probably want to buy one of their firewall hardware at some point. But until then, what we are about to do will give you a true sense of the pfSense firewall functionalities with minimal cost. So, to install pfSense on a virtual machine, you will need to download the ISO image from the following address, www.pfsense.org/download. Okay, let's do this. First, allow me to show the setup I have. I have a laptop with a USB network adapter connected to a router using an Ethernet cable. The router is the one provided by my ISP for internet access. On my laptop, I will create a special host-only network, and you will see later why it is special, which will be used to connect my firewall VM to my laptop and eventually to other virtual machines. The USB network adapter will be connected to the firewall using USB pass-through. Because of that, it will no longer be available for the laptop, and until the firewall is up and running, the laptop will not have internet access. First, let me show the VirtualBox version I'm using. As you can see, I'm using version 6.1.30. Currently, my internet access is through a USB network adapter wired using an Ethernet cable to the router. Before continuing, allow me to ask for your assistance. If the contents of this video are helpful for you, a coffee will allow me to continue to produce content. Please go to ko-fi.com, that is ko-fi.com/hardpath, and buy me one there. And if you could share this video, I would be grateful. Thank you. We will need the MAC address of the USB network adapter that will be attached to the firewall virtual machine using USB pass-through. To get the MAC address, let's open the command prompt. Now, let's type ipconfig/all. This displays the properties of all network adapters. Let's scroll up to the USB network adapter, used for internet access, and make note of its physical address or MAC address. The first thing we are going to do is to create that host-only network that I mentioned before. Note that you'll need administrative privileges. To create that host-only network, you need to create a new adapter. For that, in the File menu, select Host Network Manager. There is already a host-only network adapter, and we will keep it as it is, with DHCP server enabled, and with IP addresses configured automatically. Let's create a new adapter. We don't want the DHCP server enabled on this adapter because the firewall will have its own. The IP addresses will be configured automatically. VirtualBox will see this as a configuration mismatch because the DHCP server is disabled on this network. But trust me, the firewall will assign the IP address. Now, let's make a couple of changes to the new network adapter. Note its name. It has a number 2 at the end. Let's open the network connections by running the command ncpa.cpl. Select the host-only network adapter number 2, and press F2 to rename it. Let's rename it with a single word. You will thank me later for that. Now, let's right-click and select Properties. We will not use IPv6, so let's disable that. And that's all. You can close the Network Connections window. Remember that I mentioned that we will be using a special host-only network? Well, let me show what this network has that makes it special. Host-only networks are not seen as normal networks by the operating systems. However, we need the operating systems to handle this new host-only network as a normal network. For that, we need to edit the registry by running the command regedit. On the top, type the key shown on the screen. I will wait. Now, search for VirtualBox host only. Notice the device instance ID. This one is 0. This is the host-only adapter installed by default, and we want the other one, the one we created. So, press F3 or select Find Next. As you can see, this one has the device instance ID 1. In order for this network to be seen as normal network, we need to change the end disk device type from 1 to 0. For that, double-click, and then replace 1 with 0. And that's all. The host-only network we created is now a normal network. You can close the registry editor. And I will recommend to reboot your computer now. Finally, let's create the virtual machine for the firewall. In VirtualBox, go to the Machine menu, and select New. Assign a name. Because pfSense is based on the FreeBSD operating system, let's select the type BSD. Then, for the version, select FreeBSD 64-bit and press Next. 2 GB is the minimum recommended memory size. So, let's type 2048 for the memory size, and press Next. Now, for the hard disk, all the defaults are suitable. So, press Create and then Next. 16 GB will suffice for the hard disk size. So, go ahead and press Create. Now, let's make a few tweaks in the virtual machine settings. Press the Settings button and go to the System group. In there, disable the floppy disk, because we do not need it, and move the hard disk up, because that will be the primary boot media. Then, go to the Processor tab, and assign at least one more CPU, if possible. Next, it's the storage. Go to the Storage group and select the empty CD. Then, select the pfSense ISO image file. In my case, because I have used it before, it is immediately available. In your case, you might need to use the Choose Disk File option. Now we need to connect the virtual machine to the host-only network we created. For that, go to the Network group, and for the first adapter, attach it to a host-only adapter, and then select the adapter number 2. Now it is the USB pass-through. To connect the USB Ethernet adapter to the virtual machine using USB pass-through, go to the USB group. In my case, because my USB adapter is USB 3.0, I need to select the USB 3.0 controller on the top. Make this selection according to the hardware you have. Then, I need to select the device using that button with plus sign. And that's all. The VM is ready. We are ready to start the virtual machine. So, go ahead and press that Start button. The virtual machine will boot using the ISO image file we have attached to the CD. No user input will be required for now. Okay, you can accept the copyright notice by pressing Enter. Press Enter again to start the installation. Select the keyboard layout and press Enter. Because of its simplicity during installation, I will choose to partition the disk automatically, and use BIOS. Feel free to choose any other option according to your preference. Press Enter to start the installation. It won't take long. Once it is finished, press Enter, because we don't need to make any modification at this stage. Then press Enter to reboot. Once the virtual machine starts booting again, you can detach the ISO image file from the CD. For that, go to the Machine menu, and select Settings. Go to the Storage group, select the CD, and select Remove Disk from Virtual Drive. Press OK. This was done while the virtual machine is booting using the hard disk. The installation is now asking if we want to set up virtual LANs. Because we don't want to do this, at least for now, type N and press Enter. Now we need to define which interface will be used for wide area network, i.e., Internet access. That will be the USB network adapter, the one using USB pass-through. USB devices are identified with the letters U and E. In our case, the one we are interested in is the UE0. So, let's type that and press Enter. Now, it's the local network interface. The only one left is the EM0, which is the one attached to the host-only network. So, let's type that, and press Enter. The interfaces are ready. We have the USB Ethernet adapter assigned to the wide area network for Internet access. And we have the host-only adapter assigned to the local area network. We can proceed by typing Y, and pressing Enter. My router will use IPv6 when assigning the IP address to the wide area network interface. Not sure why, but this is causing a slow configuration process, and later we will see that my firewall VM will not have internet access. I will deal with this when the time comes. For now, let me speed up the video for your convenience. As we can see, the wide area network interface has an IPv6 address. I will deal with this shortly using the firewall's web interface. Speaking of the web interface, in order to use it, we will use the host-only network. The firewall has the address 192.168.1.1. Let's check the IP address of a laptop on that host-only network. For that, let's open the command prompt. Now, type ipconfig. The laptop still has the default IP address, 192.168.80.1. We need to change this address, and we will use the firewall's DHCP server for that. So, let's type ipconfig /renew space VBHONET2. Remember when I asked you to rename that interface using a single word? This is why. You may now thank me. Okay, we now have an IP address in the same range as the firewall. We can close the command prompt, and open the web browser. In the address field, let's type 192.168.1.1, which is the firewall address. You can ignore the warning by pressing Advanced and then Continue. If you want me to tell you how to fix this, please get in touch. Now, let's type the default credentials. The username is admin. The password is pfSense, all in lowercase. And we are in. Press Next twice. Now, type a host name of your preference. For me, because the firewall will be my gateway to the internet, I will use GW. In the domain, you can leave the default. In my case, because I own a domain, I will use that, with intranet as prefix. For the primary DNS server, I will use Google's. For the secondary DNS server, I will use Cloudflare's. I will keep the default time server. Nothing to change here. Now, and this is a personal preference, I will change the firewall IP address to 192.168.1.254. Let's change the admin password. Please do not skip this step. And that's all. One more click and we are done. Note that you need to change the IP address on the browser. Same as before. Press Advanced, and then Continue. If you go back to the virtual machine, and press Enter, you will see the new IP address assigned to the local area network. Let's go back to the browser, and enter the admin credentials. This login process is taking too much time. Hence, now it's the time to deal with the IPv6 issue. For now, I will speed up this video for you. Okay, we are in. As you can see, there is no IPv4 address. Let's fix this. One thing I noticed was that the MAC address shown associated with the USB network adapter was not the one I saw before. Let's keep this in mind. Let's go to the Interfaces menu and select Wide Area Network. Let's start by disabling DHCPv6. Now, remember the MAC address we got before setting up the virtual machine? We will use it here. And that's all. We can press Save. Then, we need to press Apply Changes on the top. Let's wait for the confirmation. Okay. Done. Let's go back to the dashboard. In the Status menu, select Dashboard. And we are good. We now have an IPv4 address. Also, the firewall was able to access the internet to check for updates. Let's go back to the virtual machine and press Enter. Now, the Wide Area Network interface shows an IPv4 address. What about the internet access on the laptop? We made a few changes to the firewall. So, let's reboot it. For that, go to the virtual machine and type 6, followed by Enter. That should be 5 and not 6. Well, never mind, the virtual machine will shut down. Once it is off, please start the VM again. Okay, all good regarding IP addresses. Let's check the IP address of the laptop. It seems that we need to renew it. There we go. We have a new domain, and this time with a gateway address. And also, we have internet access. Let's test this. Open the browser and go to the firewall. Enter the admin credentials. Let's remove this. And now, let's add traffic graphs. Let's open a new browser window and arrange them side by side. Let's do a speed test. Okay, all good. And that's all. The firewall is up and running. I hope you have found this useful. If you found this video useful, I would love to have a coffee from you. Please go to ko-fi.com, that is ko-fi.com/hardpath, and buy me one there. Also, please share this video, that will be highly appreciated. Feel free to reach me on social media. On LinkedIn, my profile can be found at this address. But it will be on Twitter that you will hear from me more often.